Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live from Shanghai, China with the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational, $1 million prize pool, 32 players from 9 different regions to start things off. And we have whittled away 12 of those players as we advance into the final group of our quarterfinal matches. I'm Axel Toss. Thanks for being here. I am very happy to be joined once again by Yoel Larson and Claytano. Guys, I know you've been helping out behind the scenes a little bit with the observing. Excellent job, by the way. But let's just talk about what we just saw. I want to get your reactions. It could not have been more dramatic. 46 rounds, Lucky barely pulling it through at the end. How are you guys feeling about how that all went?
That was just one of those amazing esports moments that you only get on those few rare occasions. You could really see Lucky being very affected by her win, like shakily adjusting her glasses afterwards, and it was amazing to watch. It was like nerve-wracking for us as well.
Moving the camera or the the observer around, and like you said, as soon as the game finished, she was like, it's just a sigh of relief. And I think that was actually the closest round of matches that we've had all day so far up until this point, with almost 2 ties. Like you said at the end, there was a very close 4th and 5th place. And if she would have, I'm not sure what the tiebreaker would have been if she had gotten second, if that was necessarily
if that was enough for her
to be out or not.
I think both her and Stilo had a 2-second win, so it would be like the 3rd tiebreaker or something like that.
Right.
So it would
like
be
the ratio,
right down
I think the win-loss ratio.
Yeah, insanely close.
I do think the thing that everybody is talking about is how Lucky actually advanced. It was the same strategy, all 3 games, just did it no matter what for the most part, and was really just relying on the rolls at the end of the day is what it was. So it was very bold, open fort, and Glacier Knights.
Both yes and no, right? Like it was really a roller coaster for her. I think she had a 5th, an 8th, or 7th, and then a 1st.
8th. It was correct. Yeah, it was the last place.
So all over the place, right? So anything can happen. You're kind of leaving yourself.
She did get 4th
RNG.
in the first match. Pretty important,
right?
Because
that's 2 extra points. Then it would have been for 5th.
So 4th, last, and then 1st.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a look at all our groups here. And something else I wanted to point out, ladies and gents. Group A, who won? Hosana, the South Korean player. Group B, who won? Jinsu, the South Korean player. Group C, who got knocked out by Lucky? Stilo, the South Korean player. So, like, not only did Lucky pull through, but the first moment where we're seeing a South Korean player actually not advance, where we saw Hosana and Jinsu win in groups A and B. So Stilo not able.
They've been killing it so far.
They have.
Yeah, is this the new StarCraft or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean that might even it makes that win from Lucky even more interesting there, knocking out the South Korean player. Here's the format once again, a delightful little tournament graphic here. As you can see, the 4 groups at the bottom is what we are doing today. All best of 3s. We've already gone through Group A, B, and C. The top 4 advancing on. And again, if you advance the top 4 today, that's $4,000 more. When you come here, you get $4,000. Period. If you get to the next round, you get $8,000. So
immediately double your money.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a pretty huge deal for everyone who qualifies through to tomorrow, our semifinals, and of course our finals will be on Sunday. Here's the points breakdown. Everyone should be familiar at this point. 9, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0. And as we saw in the last match there, it literally can come down to every single point. So that just goes to show just what these guys and girls are thinking on the stage. You have to put everything out there. There is no holding back. There's no taking it easy. There's no like, okay, let's just coast through. You have to literally apply yourself every single moment.
Yeah, those splits between 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 are really, really, really what you should be focusing on getting above the fold. And then if you're down to that final 2, just doing everything you can. And we saw in Group A, which was where I was last time commentating, it was Azu coming back from 2nd place, trying to struggle back, but just wasn't able to do it each time. But
yeah, and we see a lot of players from the bottom of the scoreboard still able to hang on and just get that, just eke out another place. It's so important. And now we're seeing all the players from our next group, starting with Sweet Pea from Thailand.
Is this our only Thailand player from Thailand?
I'm pretty sure. Only representative from Thailand.
Actually invited as one of the content creators, if I'm not mistaken.
And then now we're going to have a couple Chinese representatives onto the stage, starting with Yang. Very similar names here for these next 2, I'm pretty sure. Starting with Yang from China, and I believe Kong is. I know we have Land here from South Korea, so he's going to try to have some redemption from Stilo.
Yeah, no pressure being a South Korean and all.
Yeah, got to live up to the other two, Hosanna and the other one. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
You know, they got to win. South Korean culture in video games especially, you got to win. And here we have Miss Peace.
Yeah, a lot of claps from the audience here. It's a good round of applause for our Belarus player.
So I almost didn't think there was an E at the end, so I thought it was Miss Speak, and I thought it was like a pun.
I thought it was Miss Peach.
Huh.
Peach?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and our female player was in the last round, so definitely a guy right there. It's
Right.
like you got the mess, so it's like,
Yeah.
don't be confused. And here we have, I think, the lone Spaniard.
Yeah,
Hola,
Nooch,
hola,
right?
¿cómo estás? Yo hablo poquito español.
Yeah,
And I
a
believe
really
he
strong
told
showing
me-
at the
yeah.
EU finals.
That's true.
Okay,
He did win
cool.
the European group.
You give him a strong chance today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
he's got his guns that he sticks to. He was very focused on mages last time, but I think he's going to try to kind of expand
Are
that.
European-
She's a little scared though, considering we haven't seen meshes being so successful
Right.
in these
European
qualifiers.
representation hasn't done as well as maybe people might have thought, as we see Kong, I believe, from China there, go on through.
Zoinhu, the Brazilian player, a lot of fans on Twitch that are rooting for him for sure. I've seen in the Twitch chat, so definitely looking for him to do some pretty good things in this group.
Love those colors, too. The nice deep green. Here
Oh,
we
yeah.
see SZL representing China.
Another European player finishing, I believe it was third in his bracket in order to make it to this stage.
Exactly.
Making his way to his battle station. I got to go sit up there at some point.
Yeah, just to see what it's
Wouldn't
like.
it be great? Man, that stage is awesome.
Well, you
Gotta go. I
you
did do
in
the
your
interview. You're right.
It was, you did say you were the best player
You're
here.
right.
So,
Maybe
you know.
I was up there in the matches
Living a
that
stream.
happened
Living a
before
stream.
we started streaming.
Yeah,
Some very dramatic stuff
Yeah,
very much so.
it's a much
on-
different
on-
feel, of course.
on the stage. Okay, guys, this is the last group, and what do you think these guys might be gathering from what's happened today? You know, obviously they've been chilling and
I
watching.
think there's a lot of. I'm not gonna. I don't know, but I think for me it would be a little chaotic at this point because I've seen all these groups and I've seen how much have changed in the last couple of, or in this entire day from the metagame that I knew from before. So it's gonna be interesting to see if people are gonna change their approach after they've seen these couple of games, or if they're just gonna stick with their guns, like Lucky, for example.
I would say the main trends that we've been seeing are obviously open forwarding into Knight's Glacier. That's one thing that's been working pretty consistently. Not necessarily working every single time, but it is at least giving you an opportunity to place higher. We did see Vince not necessarily get the rolls for it when he tried to go for it, but that's because there's too many other people, and he just happened to get the short end of the stick, which is a little unfortunate and something you have to keep in mind. But I do think we're going to see some other, Hunter comps again, some more Dragon Mages. Those are going to be the three premier builds.
Beast Warrior.
Beast Warrior actually has had a huge part in this tournament. And not only just getting them into a top 4 position, but actually winning the game. I think Beast Warrior has more wins than any other build currently.
I think so also, and it might not seem like a big thing that a Beast Warrior is another comp you can go for, because it also pressures the entire metagame in terms of tempo. It pressures all of the other comps because it comes online so much faster. So you have to adjust, and that's really hard when you used to I can stay at this amount of interest in this round. I don't have to go up to level 8 or level 9 on this round, etc., etc. So it's been a really nice dynamic element that has been coming up in this
It's easy to
tournament.
get those Beast Warriors early game because they are a little bit less expensive, right? There's the 1 cost and the 2 cost that you can kind of set your team up with, and then it's really easy to transition out of those if need be.
Right. I've heard Goblin also mentioned early game.
Yeah,
Goblin's really good.
But then you have to transition. That's the
It does
thing.
limit your transition options, where with Beast or with Warriors, you have the option to go Beast Warrior, you have the option to go Mages, you have the option to go Hunters, and if you have the option to go 2 premier builds from the
Or
start,
in a 3, keep it.
on a win streak in this setup where people lose streaking have been punished several times already, I think that's actually the best option for right now.
Yeah, exactly. We saw during the qualifiers, the European and the NA qualifiers, is that whenever people went for Beast Warriors, they always transition into either Dragon Mages or Hunters. But in this tournament, we've actually seen tons of Beast Warriors just staying Beast Warrior.
Yeah.
Just leveling up, going very aggressive in their win streak, punishing, as you said, some of the loose streakers, especially the Dragon Mage players. Because the problem now with the new hero being added is we see a lot of these mage builds going for 6 mages. And that means you're going to be weaker at a more in the early game, because you need to start getting those mages a little bit earlier. Previously, we saw a lot of Dragon Mage, and Dragon Mage means you go only 3 mages, dragons, and you have a 3 warrior front line. When you do that, you lose a lot less life. So that's kind of how it has changed everything, and it's super interesting to see.
I think trying to maintain as much life as you possibly can right now is the general trend.
We're moving towards,
Don't lose streak into 30 HP or 20 HP, because at that point, it is so hard to bring yourself back. We did see Philip actually successfully do it from 11% HP, possibly going out at almost 7th place and then coming back to win it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is possible,
A little insane, but at the same time, it's just too risky. When there's so much money on the line, I wouldn't risk it.
Can we see another Follow Witcher game?
We've seen a few of them already. I haven't had the opportunity and the pleasure to actually comment on it, but
seriously.
It's been quite a sight to see, and I know the fans watching at home and live have been. There's something about it. There's something just watching that 3-star Fallen Witcher that just makes you feel good. And we've actually seen a couple 3-star Doom Arbiters already. Yeah. So,
I mean, you love a good carry, right?
Yeah.
And what is a better carry than a 3-star Fallen Witcher with bonkers items?
Yeah.
It's just beautiful to see. And there's so many other units that combine to make it into the ultimate carry. There's Rogar, the Taboo Witcher, the crowd control. Yeah.
Did I ask you guys your favorite units? I forgot who I had.
Yeah, for me it's Rogar.
I don't think I got it.
Very personal bias. Nothing to do with how good it is, but I have good fond memories of him.
So mine since day one has always been Dragon Knight, and it was before Dragons Mages were really super popular. I just really liked playing him because when I first started
playing the game,
want to
make sure it's not a normie. This was way before. This was way before. It was good.
I did before it was cool. No, but it was really the first thing that I ever came across that was just working for me, and it was when I was learning the game. I didn't really have a community to talk with about it. I was just like, hey, this is really good, and I'm gonna keep using it, and I'm gonna use it again, and that's like literally all I did every single game until I realized that there's other options out there.
It's a good way to start learning the game if you're new to it. Just focus on a comp that you think is good and learn that inside and out, and then you will get to play against other people that plays other comps, and you can learn them that way.
Maybe not even focus on a comp. Focus on your favorite character just because you think it looks cool or performs cool.
Yeah, sure.
And then figure out what works with it. Yeah.
You can get even deeper than that on a more basic level.
It also encourages you to play the game more because you're like, okay, I have a connection to this one unit and I get to play him every single time. So it's just more, you're more likely to come back.
As long as you keep the game exciting, right?
And obviously, these pros on the stage, they might have their favorites, right? So real quick, and we kind of touched on this, but just to really hammer it home here, that balance between, sticking to your strategy, but then what if 3 other people are doing what you're doing, right? Like, can you guys talk about that, like the balance between sticking to what you want to do and then adjusting to what's happening on the board?
That's kind of the beauty of the game, I think. And that's the most trickiest question you can ask yourself because every game is so different. Like, in some games you get a super big high roll and it's always worth to stick with your guns. And then you can kind of force other players outside of it. We saw very similarly Knight Glacier game where there were 4 players and one of them had to leave the alliance, right? But it depends on what you're playing against also. Like, even if I get the right units on a better than mediocre level, is it gonna be good enough anyways? Like, do I have something to transition into? Like, is my setup easy to transition away from? Like, Glacier Knights, for example, it's almost impossible to transition away from because it builds on a lot of early units and a lot of late game units. So,
and another word I've heard you guys use is like commit, right? Or all in, which might play into that, where eventually you have to decide.
Yeah.
You're going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, going kind of off that favorite units, theory, all these players have their own favorite units, but once you get into a certain level, that has to kind of stay unbiased. Otherwise, it'll really cloud your judgment of what's really the best possible decision at that moment. And if you're kind of just like, oh, I always want to play this, I always want to play this, you'll see that it even happened with Lucky. She did get an 8th, where that could have easily been 2 8s if just things kind of aligned differently.
Every game will have a certain amount of EV going into different kind of builds. Some are going to give you better EV to win the game, others not. But you got to think of your own skill with those setups also. I mean, we talk about being unbiased, and you should be, but you could also count in, okay, this is a build I'm not comfortable with. Even I'm at the highest level, maybe I'm just 5% worse with it. And maybe that's enough to turn into another build. It all differs. And I mean, this is such a complicated game. It's really hard to do every build perfect.
I mean, if it was me building that build that
I would
Tutu
do it
had,
perfect.
No, definitely not. I just want to bring up that build that Tutu was pulling off in the second game of Group B.
Yeah. Tutu did not end up getting through, by the way. But he did very well in that second game that you're talking about.
Right. In the second game specifically, if I had that situation going on, it was kind of all over the place, and we were kind of wondering where he was trying to transition into. He got that 3-star Fallen Witcher, and he had a couple other things that were just pieced together, and it's not a regular build that you would see. Right.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to what you said, he might not have really been comfortable with it, but it just kind of started working out and using his judgment to say like, okay, I don't really care what the general builds are. I just know that this piece added in here is going to help me counter all the other units. And it worked out good for him in that situation.
For sure.
Yeah, it did. And it's always fun to see that develop. Something you're not necessarily expecting, but these guys on the stage, you know, they're the best 32 players in the world. They're able to make it work, and we're seeing things that we haven't necessarily seen before. So I hope everyone is staying buckled in for the ride. Something else I wanted to ask too, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but as far as, you know, you are playing for placement here, right? Today, top 4 is the goal. Yep. So how does that kind of change things? For, you know, if you're not necessarily trying to win, you want to win. And I don't know if this is relevant to, like, you know, the strategy you're deciding to do as the game goes along. But can you guys touch on that a little bit, where you're just trying to avoid the bottom 4 maybe, and how that plays into your strategy?
I think it's great that they have this kind of format, because I believe that in Auto Chess, the goal is always to get into top 4 also, even on the ladder. So you should play similarly to what you're used to. That is always the goal, to place in the top 50%, right? And that means you should play your game, play consistently. You don't always have to go super greedy, super aggressive, or whatever it is to try to get first or second. Depends, of course, on your point standing, right? Before the last game, for example.
Right.
From the first game,
game 1 is definitely a different approach to game 3.
Play pretty normal, play your game, try to get into top 4, and maybe you can. I mean, it depends also when you get deeper into the game and when it gets closer to between like the 5th and 4th and 3rd, for example. Then you can maybe go all in before, like to make sure you get into 4th, instead of saving money to get into 2nd and 1st.
That's something that I wanted to bring up too, because I have noticed that a lot of players are being a little bit greedy with their gold amount and dropping down really low in HP, where I'm thinking, okay, maybe if you would have leveled up or rolled a couple rounds sooner, you could have saved yourself 20 or even 30% HP just in those 2 or 3 rounds that you didn't. And we've seen countless times where not only just 2 players, but 3 and 4 players go out in a single round. And that one round of just trying to be greedy over a couple extra interest isn't always worth it.
Especially when there's such a big difference between 4th and 5th.
Yeah, just go for trying to get above the fold, and you should be in a good shape, because we've seen top players or rank 1 players go 8th, and then they're kind of all over the place. So as long as you're consistently like top 4, you should be in a good spot.
No, I agree.
And I guess specifically for the game we're about to jump into, you know, this is the clean slate. Obviously, and when, you know, once the second match happens, once the third match happens, there's a lot more data that you're working with. You know exactly where you have to be. For example, I was talking to her in the last segment, you know, about Lucky, where she got 8th place in the second game. So going into the last game, she absolutely needed to win. So obviously that's much different from this game that we're about to get into. It's the first game. So what's kind of the mentality there for these guys?
I would say try to get yourself in a position where you have a chance and you're not playing from behind. Obviously, you don't necessarily need to go for first, but just getting in that 3rd, or second spot is a really good first game position because you don't feel like you're too far behind. Fourth, you still feel like, you know, it's a little close. Anything can happen. So fifth is like, okay, I kind of have to play a little bit better. Next game is 6, 7, and 8. You're like, okay, I
definitely don't
need to
want
make
6,
things
7,
happen.
8. It's like
Yeah.
out of the question.
Yeah. Fourth and fifth is like, okay. Third is like still, you know, things could happen. Second and first, you're like, okay, one's done.
Right.
Next.
Yeah,
but then
especially when we see this like dynamic change in the metagame, I would like people to like play comfortably and safe and see what the lobby is like. Because you're gonna get to play 2 more games against these guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw in the lobbies have been different, like from lobby to lobby. Some have been way more aggressive, others have gone for Fallen Witcher strategies and etc. And there's another lobby that went for a bunch of knights, for example. And like knowing that after the first game and not going all out trying to do one strategy because you think the metagame is in one way can be a mistake. So stay open for the first game, stay versatile, play confident, play safe, and feel the lobby. Feel when people are going all in, feel when people are leveling hard and when they're pushing extra, and then you should be good for the next 2 games.
What are those reads that you're kind of making? You know, the game starts, and obviously...
Well, especially, it's very hard in the first few turns because then people are just playing for the early game. You can see how many people are going for lose streak. That's a good tell in the beginning. Yeah. But other than that, it comes down a lot to when people choose to spend their money. Like when people are trying to push to conserve their life or push for win streaks. So if people do that a lot earlier, instead of trying to hit interest points, you have to kind of stay in the loop. And you can't play strategies that takes too long to come online. Like, and we've seen that a lot, especially in the first group, people got punished for playing 6 mages dragons because it was just too slow to come online. And the Beast Warriors just wrecked them. And
then your health gets so low, it's too late,
and then, exactly.
As you were mentioning.
You hit your stride, but at that point you have such a low health that you're going to win 85% of the time, but the times you lose, it's going to be enough to kick you out. So
I also don't think that open forwarding that we've seen has been necessarily a bad option to go, but knowing when to stop and start buying units because you know, things aren't going to be good if you continue down this path. But also, something that I don't think we've seen too much of or even at all in this tournament is getting through round 1, 2, and 3, seeing if you have any chance of going straight into a 100% win streak, and then if not, just selling everything, go open fort for 1 round to get yourself over 10 gold, and then just feeding off that extra gold that you have over everybody else in the lobby, and then buy units like normal right after that first round. So don't open fort even after round 5. Just do it for 1 round, get over 10 gold, and then move on from there.
Yep.
All right, those flashing lights behind us and the screen in front of you mean we're about ready to get into the final group of action in the quarterfinals. But first, we're going to hear from one of our players, once again, on their mentality entering into this tournament.
So at the start of the game, you just try to get the strongest units before focusing on synergies and try to get them to stars as soon as possible. So you keep a lot of pairs on your bench before and try to combine them and get the 2-star. You can start picking up goblins because they are strong if you play them together, or you can just try to play what you are trying. You can start trying to build the team you are trying to get later on in the game. Like you can start buying a few knights if you think knights are really strong, and you want to go for knights that game.
Yeah, that was actually News WK there talking about his early game strategy, just trying to get 2 stars, and I think that's the general consensus out of pretty much everybody that we've heard from so far. And obviously just trying to get those 1-cost units specifically so that way you don't need to lose gold on selling those 2 costs if you happen to get those up to 2-star as well. But I mean, getting a 2-cost 2-star unit early game isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world either.
No.
So just maybe building your comp around that if you do get something a little bit more lucky. And looks like Sizzle actually picking up a 2-star Skybreaker as well as a pair of Heaven Bombers. So he's in a really good spot here going into round 4.
Only needs a Ripper or Soulbreaker to complete the Goblin bonus.
Yeah, that's it.
Then
and if he gets another Heaven Bomber and a Soulbreaker, that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be super good. For sure, yeah, Sizzle is a good position to complete a synergy and also get enough 2-stars to maybe push for a win streak. Sweet Pea here has a Red Axe Chief. together with that TUS champion and Ergus's Ranger. So a little bit in between. Does find the third warrior here. So he's gonna try to win this round.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's a little close here. Oof, look at this. 2-2-star units this early. Doesn't have a synergy to speak of, but this is really strong anyways. What do you think about Sweet Pea actually trying to win this round?
For Sweet Pea trying to win that round with just the Cape Clan bonus and the Warrior bonus, it is a little difficult. In going against even just all one-star goblins, I don't think he's going to be able to win this.
He does have some good targeting though. He is attacking a unit without the buff first, but now he's going to go for the unit with the goblin buff. So it's going to be a lot harder to get this unit down. It's going to soak up a lot of damage, and that's going to be it for Sweet Pea's first round. So,
but you already
not a perfect
see
start.
he's sitting on a pair of Ergus's Rangers, so we've seen Hunters doing really well recently. I don't know why he sold the Unicorn, because that could have been, you know, potential extra gold that he could have picked up, but he did get an early
Priest,
early Priest. That might not be a bad idea to kind of open forward into at that point, but looking at Miss Peace, also with a Goblin trio and a 2-star Soulbreaker already.
And
as
also
well.
having a Ripper as one of his goblins. Strong unit in the beginning. One of the few units that does AoE damage on an efficient rate. And also that Hell Knight is always just a strong, solid unit in a vacuum, so you want to add that for sure.
Yeah, the thing to note though as well is not only does he have a 2-star Soulbreaker, but he also has 2 Soulbreakers on the bench as well.
Yeah.
So if he does pick up 2 2-star Soulbreakers this early, say round 6, that would put him in a really, really good spot to just win streak for quite some time.
Wow, the TUS champion has barely any HP left, but Yang is gonna lose his 100% here. And we have Nudge WK has lost a few rounds, down at 92%. Let's see if he's gonna try to open forward here. He doesn't have any upgrades yet. He actually chooses the level instead. This is super interesting. Very surprising that he's still trying to start to win his rounds. Well, especially considering since other people have also leveled at this point and he hasn't won his first round.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about previously, where lose streaking right now in the lobbies and how good they've been so far. If you get yourself into a position where you're just losing and losing and losing, it's really hard to come back from. So he could have been watching these matches and seeing that playing aggressive early, giving up some economy and just maintaining that HP is more important than it is in normal gameplay. And he's still technically losing right now, but it's just not as harsh as it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I see your point in not losing too much HP, but I just feel like this lobby has been high rolling quite a lot, and also pushing as far as leveling and spending money for that is a little bit over the top. He still has a 3-round lose streak. Can definitely go into that. He's not hitting his interest points. Either way, Land is open forwarding here, basically. He's kind of dividing between whether he should open for it or not, but it seems like he's gonna shoot something in between, hoping he can maybe kill off a unit before he loses his round.
Yeah, he's got the Glacier Knights Beast Warrior kind of. He just has a lot of pairs right now, is what he's looking at. But the thing is that we've talked about committing a little bit already, and it's kind of hard to have so much gold on your bench. Although he does have over 10 gold, so he's hitting that interest point like we talked about previously, and still losing at the same time. And then he has that priest in there in order to kind of protect that HP as much as he can as well. And Miss Peace is still doing perfectly fine with the 2-star Soulbreaker, as we suspected.
Yeah,
actually.
early Thunder Spirit here and the Sharp Prison as well. So maybe looking to go into Dragon Mage, as we see a Venom also.
Something we haven't seen too much of is Assassins being played, and looks like he is obviously using them now, but picking up a pair of Phantom Queens to go along with the pair of Soulbreakers on the bench, and then also throwing in the Shadowcaller as well.
Something that's always nice to think about, especially in the early game, is that you want to enable synergy for the unit that is your strongest unit. So right now, Miss Peace's strongest unit is that Soulbreaker. So you want to enable that unit as much as possible. And Miss Peace is actually using both of Soulbreaker's synergies, both the Goblin one and the Assassin one, trying to harvest as much power out of that unit as possible. Kong still at 100% here, also hits his interest point. I would really like to see what Kong is working with to stay as strong in this lobby. he's working with a ton of 2-stars. Actually, 2-star Tusk champions. This is a little scary for the rest of the players.
Yeah, he's got the 2-star Tusk champion in the back to kind of catch those assassins that he's seeing from Miss Peace, because he knows that he's the 100%er, and then the one person right below him, which is Miss Peace, is running an assassin comp as well. So he does have that protection. He throws in a little egg assist, which is also really good early game at the same time. And he had those 2-stars super early, so it's no surprise that he's still going 100%. I would imagine that he's going to continue this streak for a little bit longer.
A little interesting to see what he's going to go into here, because there's a little bit of everything. There's a few hunters in the back. There's also those 2 Tusk champions, which usually means you want to go into Beast Warriors. However, he doesn't really have any other good warriors. He has 1 Abyssal Guard on his bench, but that's about it. So I think Kong is going to have some decisions need to make some decisions which route he's going to go for.
Kong actually does, in fact, lose his streak on that round, but you do see that the Tusk champion in the back did catch those assassins very nicely and ends up going ahead and selling the Evil Knight there to probably get over interest here at 20 gold, round 10, I would assume. Actually, he's going to buy a Thunder Spirit instead, so he's going to be looking into mages, I would assume.
Yeah.
Especially with the Skybreaker on the bench too. It's not the worst thing in the world to go with the God of War right next to it.
You might see these 2 Tusk champions and think, oh, he's going to commit into Tusk and Beast Warrior, but he doesn't have to at all. At this point, they're just nice 2-star units. You can always sell them for full retail value if you do sell them, because they're both 1-cost units. So you can definitely go into that direction without it being too painful, honestly. And this is one of the really good ways to go into mages. If you have a strong start, have a bit of a win streak, but especially you want to conserve that HP, so you make sure you get into the late game. Mages can definitely be one of the stronger comps, and we have seen them failing a bit previously. So this is going to be an interesting new way to kind of go into mages.
Yes, well. Speaking about interesting, looking at lands bench, he did actually do that creep round with double demons, and because there's double demons, the synergy doesn't actually activate with the Fallen Witcher in there. I'm not sure if he maybe made a mistake on it, or if he was genuinely thinking that would be a better option. He did end up winning just barely by 1 unit, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference here, but still hanging on to those pair of swordmans there, but it looks like he's going to go Glacier Knight, and I think he's pretty much committing at this point here.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like Lance's position. He's going to have 50 gold very early, and he's had that priest for almost the entirety of the game, so the damage he's taken has been reduced by quite a lot.
Yeah, he's at 62% HP, still at 40 gold, round 11. Not really in the worst position, but he needs to start. He needs to start picking up those units that he has pairs of and putting them to work now, and kind of keeping things where they're at.
Not just really pressuring this lobby. We saw him previously aggressively level, even though he lost his first 3 rounds. But he, as we said that, the round afterwards, he did hit his swordsman too, which is a big upgrade for him. And he also has found the three hunters if he wants to. He's playing the Skybreaker instead. It's a little interesting. Instead of... No, he actually only has a Wind Ranger, so doesn't have 3 hunters yet, but that would be quite a nice upgrade for him.
I think I would almost still use the Skybreaker 2-star, even if I did have 3 hunters, just because that Skybreaker 2-star is providing a front line for the hunters and mainly the dwarf sniper there. And you do see that he's also protecting himself against the assassin players in the lobby as well. And he's honestly in a much better situation at 87% HP, 21 gold after leveling up there, instead of just kind of submitting to that lose streak early game round like 5 or 6, I think it was, when he actually ended up.
Here we actually see a bunch of soul breakers, as we talked about previously. Now there is 2-star soul breakers. Could we get a 3-star? There's one more on the bench, and this is something we saw Disown did a lot in the qualifiers, where he went actually for a 3-star soul breaker quite a lot. It's a powerful unit right until the late game, so interesting to see here.
Yeah,
also
and
going
just
for
throwing in the dragons in there. All he needs is
keeping the assassins also.
So he had to level up, and he can throw mages in as well with the addition of
mage
the
assassin. I've seen this before, haven't I? I think, is this the mage assassin? There's no spirits, I guess. There's not stone spirit anymore, but
it's a little different.
It's a little different, but it is a lot easier now with Winter Sharpthrone, because it's both a mage and a dragon. So it's easy to add Venom and Shining Dragon and get that third mage also with your assassin. If you get Fenno Queen, also nice with Water Spirit because it also has magic damage. So maybe something to look into. Probably a little bit too late at this point of the game.
Just a quick look at the gold obtained here. We do have land, of course. Lose streaking always gives you a heavy advantage as long as there's not a 100% win streaking player on the board as well. But land now is still super far away from, you know, anything that he really needs. Of course, he has a bunch of pairs, but at this point, 44% HP, you would think that he would have at least a couple 2-stars by now, but right now, round 14, he has 0 2-star units on the board.
Yeah, this is going to be an important round, but he is level 7 already, so he has leveled up, and after this round, he's going to have more than 50 gold, so I think he's going to do 1 or 2 rolls to make sure he does defeat the Wolf round, and he should be able to find a few pairs here in the coming round. Or, I'm sorry, should be able to combine a few 2-stars with the pairs he does have.
I really think if he doesn't start spending some of that gold,
he does have the chance now, right? He's gonna roll
being
now.
a little too greedy. Of course, right now it's a creep round, so I don't think he's going to do anything right now. But going into round 16, I don't think you want to drop any lower than 35% HP. So you need to take that advantage. He has such a huge gold obtained advantage over everybody else in the lobby that he needs to start putting that to work and saving his HP right now. So as you see, 111. Nudge is the closest one behind at 95, even after leveling round 5, right?
No, he did lose 3 times, and I think he haven't lost ever since.
Yeah.
I think he's still on a pretty long win streak after that. Yeah, no, I feel like Land perfected the way he got his interest because he's gonna have exactly 2 rounds to get his 2 stars, if you will. So now it's really gonna be, we're really gonna see how quickly Land can find some more upgrades to not lose more life. It's going to be a crucial moment, and hopefully for him, he doesn't have to spend too much gold to kind of catch up in the game.
I just don't want him to be a little too greedy here.
Ranger. Does find a 2-star Silblade Knight. Does sell the Aggressive Ranger because it does find a Soul Reaper instead. So that could be a big upgrade with the Silverblade Knight, taking full advantage of that Aggressive bonus. Does not have an Evil Knight so far. Maybe he did miss that. He still isn't going below 50 gold, so hoping he's strong enough with those 2 core units that are both real nice carries, as we've seen in this couple of games.
Yeah, I think this goes back to a little bit of actions per minute. I know he did pick up a few of his upgrades, so he doesn't necessarily need to, but it looks like he has a 2-star Desperate Doctor, but didn't actually level it up in time.
No, you're right, completely. Seems like he's gonna play against one of the little weaker Knight pairs that is only level 6, being Soinu.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. I think right now, though, Land still just needs to make sure that he's win streaking from here on out, the rest of the game as much as he possibly can. If he doesn't get that win streak going really quickly, and he starts to middle a little bit at this point, he's going to see himself just starting to bleed until he's
Look at this,
not able to come back.
crushing it after he started winning again. He's just been continuously winning, has an 8-round win streak at this point. Does go up to 8 alongside Yang, quicker than everybody else. We still see Mispiece being at level 6. Same with Soinu. This is crazy. There's a big difference between the levels here. Mispiece actually does have that Soulbreaker 3, so he's actually gonna be a lot stronger than you would imagine. Also has tons of different synergies here. He does have 3 mages, 3 assassins, and 3 dragons. So Mispiece is really strong here, actually.
We do see Mispiece as well as Zoin, who's still being level 6, but Nuge actually going up to 8. So as we talked about previously of him actually pressuring the lobby, he's leveling aggressively, spending his gold on certainty instead of gambling with rolling. So I think he's actually playing this just fine. He's also going into Hunters, which is a much better build at a higher level as well. And for him to be level 8, in order to kind of fit all the pieces in as well, as it's actually super smart, and he's still at 49 gold as well.
Nudge actually lost this round, and he was unlucky enough to play the other level 8 player, being Young. And Young actually spent a lot more gold than Nudge has so far, so Nudge actually lost his win streak, which he must be beating himself up for happening. Yeah, unfortunate for him.
It does happen. It's one of those kind of decisions you have to make. If there's a majority of the players in the lobby that you think that you can beat, if you don't just get put up against that one or two that you can't beat in order to maintain that win streak. And he does actually do just fine
against Land.
Yeah.
So Land must have gotten quite a lot of upgrades since we talked about him with his lose streak. Let's have a look at Land, see what he's working with. If he got those upgrades, he does have
2-star Soul Reaper already as well.
Wow.
Really nice.
Yeah, that is early. He's looking actually quite strong at this point. I don't think Land has spent an insane amount of money, especially now at the round before the creep round. I do think he's going to go up to 8 at the creep round and really try to find and try to roll down a little bit, because he does want to increase his power level even more, I think.
Yeah, with Nudge being level 8 already, and pretty much the rest of the lobby going to join that at round 21. In Land's position, he does just need to continue to main pace on level with everybody else. So going round 21 or level 8 around 21 is definitely going to be important for him. And then trying to get Zoinhu to kind of catch up with everybody else, still being level 6 as well, is something that he needs to start thinking about.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But we do have 2 nice Glacier players, one being Zoinhu, the other one being Land. And I mean, Zoinhu doesn't necessarily have that. He's not as healthy as you would think he would be for being in a similar type situation with Land, but just going for a little bit different strategy where he's not leveling up.
Yeah.
But between 6 and 7, you still have the same chance of getting your 2-star, 2-cost 3-star units.
Miss Peace actually does find that Water Spirit and does pick it up. That is kind of the better assassin for this comp, as this comp builds on having heavy burst damage with your assassin, as well as your units with a lot of magic damage. And you actually use both Phantom Queen and Water Spirit, which has a huge amount of burst magic damage as well as that physical damage, together with that mage bonus. And then to top it off, you have the dragon bonus to add to even more burst, as the dragons both pop off at the beginning of the round. So this is kind of a neat little synergy-based setup that actually synergizes a lot with. He's only level 7, but he actually has 3 different synergies. So
taking a look at the items here, we definitely see that Sweet Pea is a little bit behind everybody else in the lobby. Just a couple of shields, and that's about it. Where we do see guys like Land with a Heaven's Gift already, a Frantic Mask, and Magica Crystals, Cattle Hide Armors, all these different items. Even Zoinhu's not too far behind there. We have Nuge also high roll. Pretty much. I mean, there's items all around. I would just say that Sweet Pea is kind of the odd man out there.
No, definitely. Nuge, yeah, still going for the Hunter Warrior front line. Of course, does have 4 warriors. Does find that Doom R-Body too. So he might stay here at 40 gold, thinking that he's gotten enough of a increase in power level. Land actually stays at 35%, so good on him. Mispeel is still up there. I wonder what Sizzle is working with. Is he going for the... I think so. I think Sizzle is going for the Goblin Gamble, actually.
Yeah, he's Goblin Gambling right now. He is level 8, so he does have a chance of getting Devastator. He currently has 3 out of 6 goblins, so he's still looking for a couple more, like Venomancer, and he has the, I mean, he has the Soul Breakers on the bench, but we already see a 3-star Soul Breaker in the game, so it is kind of hindering him a little bit. I do like this play here, adding the Fortune Teller, just to kind of basically give himself a little bit more time to get the Devastator. Yeah. But I mean, at 28% HP, he doesn't really have that much time, so he's gotta be sweating here.
Taking 20% less damage is gonna help him hit interest points for more turns. Maybe going up to 9 even to increase his chances to find Devastator, because finding a specific legendary unit at level 8 is very, very hard.
Yeah, for Sizzle right now, this is a really tough spot for him to be in. He needs not only just the Devastator, but like you said, he also needs the Venomancer and a couple other things to kind of go in his way. Zoinhu, though, kind of a level behind the entire match so far, 7 compared to everybody else being 8. So that's just something that it starts to wear on you. He is just 1 Hell Knight away from a 3-star Hell Knight, so that would be a huge upgrade, but he currently just doesn't have the gold or the space to do anything right here. So ends up having to sell something. He's probably gonna. Oh, he did get his 3-star Hell Knight. Just a
bit of a gamble there.
Sell there. Yeah, absolutely, and was able to kind of make it work. He sold one of his Soul Reapers, by the way.
Which is a big loss, honestly. Soul Reaper 2 is really good in Knight, so he really felt like he needed that extra push and took a chance basically to try it here and now.
I do like this play, though.
That might save him a ton of life.
Yeah, it's going to save him a ton of life, and just like land, you don't really want to go down below 30% HP.
Yeah.
So
risky, but
not too bad.
Maybe needed, yeah.
Again, risky is an understatement because that Soul Reaper is 4 gold.
Yeah.
It takes 2 gold to roll down and 2 gold to buy a Hell Knight, so he needed it to just be perfect. And it kind of worked out. Yeah.
All right, Sweet Pea now at level 8. He's rolling with Beast Warriors here. Very classic build of Beast Warrior. Does have that 2-star Wormy Boy, of course. Yeah. Does find 3-star Swordsman. That's a super nice upgrade for him, for sure. One of the strongest units to get to 3-star.
Yeah. Also just one away from a 3-star Tusk, and potentially just adding in a 4th Beast as well when he finds one, or potentially a Warlock as well, because he does have a lot of damage from Swordman as well as Doom. So he could benefit from Warlock almost more so than the 4th
100%, 100%. Yeah, let's have a look at Sizzle, see if he's gonna be able to actually stay alive here until he does find his Devastator, or if he has found it. Jiang also taking damage here, losing against 8 of Song U's team. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, Sizzle still hanging on. Yang actually dropping down to 4% HP as well. We haven't seen too much from him, but he's going with that Hunter Feather build that we just haven't just had the best luck with, unfortunately. And
this is, if there's one build me Claytana doesn't like, it's this build. We have plenty of experience with this,
which with 2-star Whispers here, selling your Unicorn might not have been...
Maybe
so he did pick up another one. So just in case if he does get a Razor Claw, he will be able to combine them together, but it was a little risky. And maybe not necessarily needed on a creep round.
No, I agree. There might be a little bit of panic here for Yang being this slow on the biggest stage of them all. Not just the big stage, but the one and only biggest stage. But yeah, we had plenty of experience from this build at the qualifiers. And the metagame was a little different there, but not too different. And it was losing a lot. And since then, it's actually received a nerf. And also, I think the metagame has become even more hostile towards that setup. So not really surprised we see at the bottom of this lobby.
Yeah, but sometimes going back to what we've talked about previously of just like trying to get into 4th, it's not the worst decision to do, but at the same time, if you don't have all of your 3-star units already at round 26, you should have not only just your 3-star Warpwood Sage, but your 3-star Whisper Seer, maybe even a 3-star Razor Claw at this point as well. But he's just too far behind, and it's going to be the end for Yang here, going out at 8. Sizzle not too far behind here, dropping down to land, which...
That's going to take 10.
Yeah, it takes 10, so he still hangs on to 2%. Nudge actually following right behind now at 30%. So a little bit of a split between rank 6 and 7 right now.
Land still has that 35%. As we talked about earlier, this is the perfect place to turn it around. Yeah, he had those 2 rounds to get these units. He hit him, he pushed, and now he's still here at 35%. 9-round win streak. This is the way you lose streak, kids at home. Just watch this man with lose streak. This is the way you do it.
Yeah, he did make a couple gamble decisions there to not roll down past 50. It was a little scary.
No future.
Okay, it was a little scary, but it is paying off for him in this situation. Picking up a 3-star Lightblade Knight.
Have a look at Sizzle, see if he can survive this round. This is gonna... No, he's gonna fall to Nudge here. Nudge is one of the stronger plays. Was one of the stronger plays on this lobby. It's actually fallen down to last place now that Sizzle is out. So This is kind of the symptom, however, of the way that Nudge was playing, is that he spent a lot of gold early to then streak. But then since you spend a lot of gold early, that will could come back to haunt you in terms of money gained later in the game. We actually see him in the middle of the pack in terms of total money gained. So it's one of the reasons why you see him fall off a little bit here in the later mid-game.
Zoinhu now with the 3-star Defector, as well as the 3-star Hell Knight that we've seen already. But I was wondering, did Nuge WK's Siren go off twice? I'm not sure if he had a refresher orb on that or not. It might have just been in my head when he was up against Sizzle, but maybe we could take a look at that next round here. Nuge actually getting dropped by Miss Peace down to 5% HP, so he's seen his lead dwindle within a matter of about 5 rounds here. He was at the top of the board, and then just right down here now. And
it is a refresher
6%. Yeah. So like I saw, refresher orb on Siren there. He was able to freeze the Heaven Bomber from Sizzle a couple times. So that's a huge pickup for him, especially in a Hunter build. He just needs to get himself that 2-star Dark Spirit as well as the 2-star Pirate Captain.
The problem against a team like Sweet Pea is his team is a little bit too squishy against him. He doesn't have a lot of really tanky units. The only one is a little tanky is Doom Arbiter, and even Doom Arbiter at a 4-cost unit is not the most tanky 4-star warrior you can have. So against a team like Sweet Pea that's all about the burst, this is a very weak lineup, I'd say. Against that, especially against Sweet Pea. But against some of these other players, I can definitely see him doing a little bit better. This Silverblade Knight, however, is just wrecking, and that's gonna be it for Nudge WK. Does claim a 6th position here in the first game.
That Siren was really trying that round, and it just
no points for trying, I'm afraid.
No. Well, he got 2 points for trying.
That's right. All right, so we here have Kong leading the pack actually in terms of health. That's a ton of Flaming Wizards on the board. Not moving in on that just yet to maybe use a Shiny Egg, considering he does already have a Flaming Wizard 2-star on the board. So maybe look at the 3-star that, putting on a few damage items on her can be a pretty strong carry. But Kong already has a Dragonite, so it's a little bit more likely he will put a bunch of items on that Dragonite.
The frontline Tortola Elder is just very bold. I wonder if he's going to keep that going into the PvP round as well for Kong. And he's kind of starting to take it back a little bit, but not too much. It is something that we actually saw 2-2 run pretty early on, which I feel like made sense because it was like round 5 that I think he got a Tortola Elder, so he did put it frontline. But in this situation, he does have a source. He has the mage bonus as well, so maybe cornering it would be a better option for him. But in this case, he does have it pretty far. I think it's
trying to make it so that there's only one unit that can fit in that little hole, so that it helps him a little bit to get his ult off. But I do agree with you that I would prefer to put it on the back line.
Yeah,
he is playing against Zoinhu here, and it is, I think, gonna hold. No, the Hell Knight is just gonna survive everything. Let's have a look at that Hell Knight and see what items he does have to be able to be this tanky. Let's have a look at Zoinhu's Hell Knight.
We will see it here in a second, but we do have Zoinhu also with kind of close to a 3-star Lightblade Knight of his own, just 3 away now, also 1 away from a 3-star Frost Knight, and now he's just 2 away, also, you know, at 0 gold, so the chance of him actually still getting 2 more Lightblade Knights is a little bit on the low end. Though Land, he's still killing it, 35% HP since round 13 rounds ago. I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
And
this Lightblade Knight is looking good. Does have the attack speed items.
That's a great Lightblade Knight.
Yeah,
that's
only needs a few damage items to be like 10 out of 10, basically.
Land also just 1 away from the 3-star Hell Knight, which would, I would say, almost make him unstoppable, because I would actually prefer him over the other Knight Glacier player at
Does
that
still
point.
have 35%. Is he gonna remain? at that win streak. He does lose his win streak finally. 13 round win streak, that's a long win streak, and he must be happy about keeping that for that long. Well, unfortunately lose it, of course, but Land is level 9 with 50 gold, so looking really nice. Actually, Miss Piece going up to level 10. Let's have a look at Miss Piece and see the way he has transitioned here. He's still having that 3 assassins, but has kind of slotted in more mages, going up to 6 mages, 3 assassin. Super interesting build. Actually, he has removed, he has removed the Venom now, considering he wants a Dragonite instead. I think this is an interesting option. Do you agree with removing Venom and losing that assassin bonus for your Soulbreaker and your Water Spirit?
I mean, at this point, I think Helicopter is going to do so much damage for you that just throwing him in and giving up that Spirit bonus would also not be the worst.
Or the Soulbreaker, potentially.
Or the Soulbreaker as well. Right. Yeah, the Soulbreaker isn't... I mean, look at the Soulbreaker on the damage chart. About 2,000 damage. You can get double that or
what
possibly
if you
triple
had the
that
assassin bonus
from the Helicopter.
With the Venom?
Assassin bonus, I don't think that's going to be as...
good?
Yeah, it's just a crit here and there.
I think it's close. I think it's interesting, yeah.
I still think the Helicopter
this is such a strong Hell
more.
Knight. Such a strong Hell. Let's have a look at this Hell Knight. Here we go. So we finally get to see this Hell Knight with that ice armor, making him ever so powerful. Also has an extra block and the Kirax and some magic resistance. So this Hell Knight, you want to make him as tanky as possible. And he's just going to survive the initial burst. Then he will use his extra 50% pure damage and just sweep through the backlines once the kind of initial fireworks have happened, if you will.
Yeah, Zoinhu just praying for that 3-star Lightblade Knight, possibly just trying to get past round 34 to give him into a creep round for a couple more rolls or a couple more chances at it.
And Zoinhu is also in another issue, that's he's the only level 8 player in this game. All the other players has gone up to 9 or even 10. So without a bank, it's going to be really hard for Zoinhu to actually come back, regardless if he finds that Lightblade Knight or not.
Yeah, so Zoinhu is actually going to take 5th here to Sweet Pea, I believe, unless Sweet Pea is in a very similar situation to him. So
Sweet Pea actually gets out 5th. Wow.
Zoinhu 4th by a matter of milliseconds. I'll just say it's
Zoinhu's got to be happy about that, considering he was 8th. There was just no way he was going to continue staying in this game after the next creep round. So
he was behind on levels the entire game. There was I think maybe 2 rounds that he was the same level as the other players in the lobby, and to take an extra 2 points away from this just on a matter of seconds was absolutely crucial for him. So that's one thing for Zoinhu. He can just kind of take a sigh of relief that he got out of this one and go into game 2 and 3 with a little bit of a better attitude. So just knowing that he still has a chance at this thing, and doesn't really have to play from behind either.
Yeah, 2 points is a lot in this close. I mean, we can really see that like players are getting in around 12, 13 points. That's usually the 4th position from the previous group. So
Cloud
2 points is just a big portion of
Miss
that.
Piece, and that's actually a huge item for the teams that are left over.
2 Scythe of Ice. Let's have a look at the item again. If we can get the item tab, I believe we have 2 Scythe of Ice for land actually. 1 on Soul Reaper, 1 on Storage Shaman. This is insane actually.
Double penguins.
Double penguins. I've never seen 2 Scythe of Ice ever. I'll be honest, it's never happened.
I had it a couple days before I came here actually. But it does actually work together.
Must be nice to be in your shoes.
I think a possibility that it can turn the same unit into a penguin.
Right.
Because it is random. But chances are it's not going to.
Kong actually took 21 damage. 21 against Land. So Land is... I think Land is almost locked this game into winning. Land is so powerful now with his items. And he's not even level 10 yet. He has 50 gold. He can go up to level 10.
I think he should do that right now because it would solidify himself into that 1st place position and not really mess around with it. 20% HP at round 37 can go like that. You know, it can be done in one round if he gets... Yeah, I mean, we just saw someone take over 20 damage in 1 round. So
that's really 2 different play styles that some leverage their extra HP by leading and having a strong comp by getting more interest points, and others are going for aggressive usage of that money to push the other players out so they don't have a chance to come back. We see Mispeace actually going out here. Kong was able to hold against Mispeace, but now that Mispeace is out, it's going to be the finals between Land and Kong. So, as you said, I would also be super happy if Land actually went to go until
just
level 10.
here.
Yeah,
yeah,
just
level
go
here's
up.
got 2 stars on the bench,
For
or
sure.
roll down for possible 3-star defector. I don't think that's really going to make that much of a difference, but
Right. Oh, wow,
just
look at that gold.
don't give him the opportunity to get back in the game.
He has almost 100 more gold than Kong at this point. This is just a massive. This is just a perfect economized game for Land, right? He had that long lose streak into that perfect 13-round win streak. So looking good here. He's still gonna win on his round, and Kong actually loses on his side, taking 13 damage without Land even pushing for that level. So at this point, I really would want Land to push for level 10. I mean, you saw Kong taking massive amount of damage. He's on the cusp of dying. You only need a little bit more to push him out to make sure that Kong is losing.
I mean, it's taking an unnecessary risk, letting
I
him
think so too.
go 1 round
Potentially
into
another round,
in a
yeah.
creep round too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
yeah. Not necessarily what I would say would be the optimal
However,
thing.
I agree. This is a mistake, but it's very likely that Kong won't be able to survive
Yeah, I
this
don't
round
think it's gonna-
regardless.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
just
he's gonna go out. I do agree with you. Unnecessary risk, but Land is gonna end up winning this game with kind of the perfect way how you lose streak.
yeah,
He lose
almost.
almost. I guess
Did
he didn't
lose
win every round
15%.
at the losing streak. That's fine.
He went down to 35%
Yeah.
and
Oh,
ended at
what is?
20%.
Where is he from? If it isn't our South Korean player
Yeah, I mean-
winning the first round.
Look
That's
out.
true. That is true.
He was upset that his compatriot Steelo was not able to qualify from
Yeah.
the last round.
Only
potentially.
taking fifth.
Not only
only
just
taking
qualify,
fifth.
but not get first, because
Right.
that's what the other 2 did.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So you guys were talking about him not making the jump to level 10 there at the end.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. Do you think he just like went to go get a snack or something? Because he left his goal as you guys were talking about, like 50.
yeah,
I
this
just
is
don't
not
think
the
it was-
tournament
it was
to flex.
necessary.
I don't
Yeah,
think.
Isn't it though? Like, was that a little flex? Just a little
was-
flex there. He's like, you know what? I don't even need.
It would have been a
another-
baller move
I don't
if it
need
was a
another guy.
flex.
You know.
Imagine. I mean,
I don't need
think
to
there
spend all
there
my
was
money.
much that he could have done to actually get himself back into the game to beat Land. But at the same time, if you give somebody the opportunity
Yeah.
to make something happen, they pick up that one legendary unit that they're
Exactly.
missing.
Yeah.
Or
Things can
just,
turn in a second.
Or just like
And if
2
you have the
upgraded
opportunity to
items
just-
or something on the creep round next round.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you just don't want
Unnecessary
to give
for
them
sure.
that.
It's a
that
game. It's a
opportunity.
game of millimeters, as Claytano, you were mentioning.
Milliseconds.
Yeah,
Millisec-
millimeters, milliseconds,
All the milli.
milli-decisions, millimoments. But there was a moment there. I want to say it was between 4th and 5th where
Yeah.
it just happened in a it
Yeah.
was literally
That was nice.
one player lasted literally a couple milliseconds
Zoinhu.
longer. Right.
So who lasted just a couple
And that's
milliseconds longer.
a 2-point separation.
Yeah,
And
that's
big.
huge. It's
And
actually
if you've been watching today, thanks for watching. But you know how important every single point is because
Yeah.
we've seen at least one tiebreaker go into effect.
Right.
So yeah,
Definitely.
I'm with you guys 100%.
Yes.
Everything you can do to give yourself total victory, you absolutely must do. As we look at the match result here, Land at the top, followed by Kong, Miss Peace. See, sometimes there's an E, sometimes there's not. Zoinhu, Sweet Pea, Nuge WK, SEL, and Yang at the bottom. Pretty even, the top 3 are very close there. Pretty interesting in the win-loss. 27-12,
Yeah.
27-12, 27-10.
Yeah.
Almost identical there, so pretty cool to see how close that is at the top. We'll see if that continues as we move forward. Again, this is a best of 3. And there we see the 50 gold flex.
Right. Yeah, that is
The
a flex.
50 gold flex there
Yeah.
at the end for Land. It doesn't carry over into the next game. If
That'd be
anyone's thinking about it.
something.
It does not work that,
That
way.
would be. How
As
would
we
you
see,
ever win?
as we see the point distribution, 9-7-6-5-3-2-1-0. And again, the important gaps there between first and second, 2 points. It's a big deal.
Yep.
between 4th and 5th, 5 and 3, and that was the moment where they both were knocked out within a millisecond.
Yeah,
But
I'm
all it
actually
takes.
curious to watch Zoinhu in this next game and see if he's actually behind in levels again. If that's
Right.
just how he plays and how he is comfortable with, or if that's something that he was like not happy with, you know? So I want to see if he can get himself on the curve at least and maybe just see a different strategy out of him, because that was, for me, kind of scary to watch him be a whole level behind.
So why
the
do you think
entire
that
match.
happened? Like, I can only see two reasons. One is that he rolled a lot more than the other players instead of spending money to level, or that he kept a way too expensive bench.
Well,
That's one way to lose a lot of
as-
gold, so you get after the other players in terms
As a
of
nice
economy.
Glacier player, he did kind of go for that, you know, get everything at level 5 if possible, don't level.
Right.
But the problem was he went to level 6, and that whole advantage of rolling down for your 3-star 2-cost units is gone.
Disappear,
You
yeah.
have the same chance of getting your 2-cost units from level 6 to, I believe, level 8, and it doesn't change at all. Maybe even level 9. But level 5 is that just
Yeah.
slight advantage that you'll have. So at that point, he just needed to start. Once he gets to level 6, he needs to start getting back on curve with everybody else.
Yeah,
as
you gotta
quick as
choose.
possible.
You gotta choose. Either you roll at 5 or you continue leveling.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
All right, well, guys, I'm excited to see how this match continues. Again, you're watching our coverage of Group D, the quarterfinals. Only 4 can advance to tomorrow, the semifinals. Again, that's a $4,000 difference between being between 17 and 32 and then actually advancing into the top 16. And $1 million is the prize pool overall in the tournament. So the biggest stage in the world for auto chess. We're going to take a short break, a very short break. You probably have time to run to the fridge or the pantry, because we're going to be right back with more coverage